It's official. We are currently in Q4 of 2025, the last quarter of the year, which means that a vast majority of Muslim businesses out there are gonna make a vast majority of their revenue for the year. It's the quarter that most companies out there are gonna reach their financial figures. And as an advertiser that is helping Muslim companies worldwide with paid advertising, and more specifically brands that spend 10,000 US dollars or more on average a month on ads, I wanted to make this video to kind of discuss what I'm doing for the clients that I'm working with, but also more importantly give value so you understand what you need to do this quarter so you can maximize revenue, but also make sure that you maximize profits, because you don't want to be a company that is just pouring money inside of your ad account but not really knowing if you're actually seeing a return on the back end. Because once the year finally comes to an end, you will essentially make up on your profit and loss statement to see if you actually did acquire the results, not just the revenue top line, but bottom line profits that you are looking for the year. Because in my time advertising for Muslim companies worldwide, I have seen so many brands really get Q4 wrong, and obviously it's a learning process. You kind of learn with the years. However, there's three things that I wanted to discuss which is crucial if you want to have an incredible Q4 this year. And the first element that I wanted to talk about, especially when it comes to an advertising perspective, is that you start to acquire leads early. You should already be acquiring leads so that you can essentially fill up your email list with high quality prospects. What I'm doing and what I have already started doing for my clients is using advertising, and more specifically meta ads, as a way to acquire leads for our email list. Because during Q4 and during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we are gonna essentially increase the volume of emails that we send out. So when we have an email list with a lot more leads, obviously that will also result in a lot more back-end revenue. And Q4 is often the year where most brands see the vast majority of their email revenue coming from. So start to run ads for the purpose of actually acquiring leads. And something that I wanted to say as well is that when you run ads, make sure that you actually acquire high quality leads. Don't just go as broad as humanly possible with the ads. When you want to acquire leads, make sure that you do it in a way that's calculated so that those leads that you actually acquire is high quality. An example, so you can essentially have a little bit of inspiration for yourself if you haven't already started. What I'm doing for my clients is that I'm running a giveaway. So let's say that I'm working with a fashion brand. What I will be doing is run some type of giveaway. That could be a $100 gift card, or that could be a free item, whatever that have market fit with the audience that I'm appealing to, and then running that giveaway on front end on meta ads. So let's say I have a $100 gift card giveaway that I'm running. That ad that I'm essentially producing for that giveaway is exactly that, the giveaway. So on the ad, I'm gonna say that we at the brand are running a giveaway that you can essentially participate in. The only thing you'll have to do is sign up for our newsletter. And if you actually ran a giveaway where people would want that specific item or want that specific offer, you will see that you will get a lot of people signing up and you will expand your email list quite rapidly. What I'm seeing currently is some of my clients acquiring leads for under $1, which is incredibly efficient. Because let's just say that a client of mine can essentially get a return of $10 per lead that we acquire on our list, so revenue per lead inside of our list. Then we have a ROAS of 10 if we essentially acquire that specific lead for around $1, which obviously is a profitable return. Second thing that I really wanted to discuss is AOV, because when you are gonna run some type of offer, when you are gonna run some type of percentage off, it's incredibly important that you think about your average order value and you look into ways where you can essentially increase that. Because a good way to bypass and essentially protect your gross margin during Q4 is actually increasing AOV. And it's also the best time of the year to do so, because naturally the average consumer is gonna spend more. The average consumer wants to spend more because they are in a consumer mindset. They know that it's Q4, they know it's Black Friday, so every brand out there is gonna run a percentage off. So if you find a creative way to increase your AOV, it could be, say that you bump up your prices slightly, or it could also be that you make some type of bundle, or you could also introduce a new offer on your back end, perhaps even your front end, and have a higher AOV that will essentially help you protect your profits, even though you give some type of percentage off on your website. It could be a percentage off on the entire website, or it could also be a percentage off on some of your products, which could be your hero offers, or whatever you essentially will end up doing. However, find a way to increase your AOV as much as possible, perhaps even increase or bump up your free shipping threshold. I have seen that work really well for my clients, where we have bumped up our free shipping threshold from, let's say, $60 to $70, or even $70 to $75, and that is gonna give you a little bit more wiggle room, but also more profits on your bottom line statement. Now, the third thing that I wanted to discuss and really talk about during this video is that you don't have to be afraid to bump up your budget. You don't have to be afraid to spend more, because I see so many companies out there being afraid to actually spend more on their ads during Q4. And as a business owner myself, I kind of understand that, because if you really want to make sure that you are profitable before you do so, it makes sense. However, Q4 is the time of the year where you can really spend a lot more, and even more that you think you can, and still be profitable, still have a profitable cost per purchase, and essentially do well. And what I'm doing for my clients during this year, and what I have been doing previous years, is spend 100% more, even sometimes 200% more than we are spending on, let's say, a normal given month. And obviously it also depends, because if you are spending, say, $100,000 a month on advertising already, it can be a little bit difficult to scale up to a 200K during, say, Black Friday, Cyber Monday week, because maybe you don't have the demand that can acquire, that maybe you don't have the demand where you can scale into that type of budget. However, if you already spend, say, $20,000 a month on ads, I wouldn't be afraid to crank it up to, say, $40,000, say 100% increase, because there's going to be so much more demand in the market that it can actually kind of overwhelm you, because as a business owner, we don't really understand the mindset that a consumer have, and it also baffles me sometimes, seeing how much extra demand that actually is in the market during Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So don't be afraid to increase your budget. And a side note that I also wanted to essentially talk about before I end this video is, remember to keep your ad account really simple. Make sure that you align with the algorithm that you essentially use, the platform that you are leveraging to essentially run your ads. So let's say that most brands out there are spending a vast majority of their budget on meta ads. Make sure that you keep your accounts incredibly simplified, so that it's also easier for the algorithm to utilize or leverage your budget in the most profitable way. And essentially make sure that your messaging and your creatives align with Black Friday and Cyber Monday, those overall themes. Something that I actually want to do before I end this video, because I have it on my screen right here, is I want to show you an example of how my ad accounts is looking during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so you can understand further how I actually set up my accounts to win and maximize profits. So let's have a look at that. As you can see right here, I have one of my ad accounts that I have been working on for the last 18 months approximately, and I have just chosen to backlog the last year, so you can see how I have been running this account. In the last year, we have spent approximately $150,000 on advertising, and we have generated a ROAS, if I scroll, of approximately 6.2, which is obviously a profitable return and incredibly efficient for this client. But what I wanted to focus on is actually how simplified that I have been running this account, because as you can see, I have bookmarked 4 different campaigns, and in the last year I've only utilized these 4 campaigns, where 80% of my budget actually went to the campaign that you can see on top here. And it's just to tell you that it's incredibly important that you keep your campaigns consolidated and you keep your campaign structure incredibly minimalistic, because Facebook is incredibly efficient and leveraging their AI algorithm to give you the results that you are looking for. So it's just to tell you that you need to keep everything incredibly simplified and incredibly streamlined, whilst making sure that you give the algorithm the assets the algorithm needs to acquire a return of 6.2 and generated a total revenue of almost 1 million Danish kroner in that year. So an account that I have been running for the last 18 months, as I said, an account on the smaller side. However, I keep the same structure. So it's important that you keep that in mind for when you're gonna run your Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaigns. And with that said, that's actually everything for this video. I hope that you found the video incredibly valuable. If you are a brand that's spending more than $10,000 a month on paid advertising and would like to understand how I, as a paid advertising partner, can help your brand grow more consistently, further, and more profitably, then feel free to book yourself a call directly through the link in my description. And other than that, again, I hope you found this video incredibly valuable. Take care.